Hi, Tulpehocken community. I want to take a few minutes to talk a little bit about our plan that we have created for the re-entry this fall for our schools. I know that there is a lot of anxiety, there are a lot of fears, there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of questions that we're just asking to get some answers to. And so let me take some time to go over our plan. If you click on the link above, you can download the plan, you can read through it and see exactly what that plan is about. I've also included a link to a cheat sheet, if you will, which is an overview of our plan that breaks it down by category. The plan is about 30 pages long, so feel free to page through it. This is a plan that was created about 2 weeks ago by a committee of professional staff, of also our support staff, our busing contractor, and some of our staff that are parents and that have children within the school district. And so we came together and we talked a little bit about what we wanted, what we needed to have our kids successful, what our community is looking for. And we took the results from our survey and some of the comments that were made, and we believe that we took a balanced approach. We realized that there's two ends of the spectrum, there's two extremes, and so we tried to find a balanced approach that would be a good fit for Tulpehocken and starting school up again. Now, a lot has changed in those 2 weeks, and so I'll hit that piece when I get to it. But I also want to give a disclaimer before I start going over that plan. This is going to be recommended come July 21st to the board members. So this is our committee's recommendation, our pandemic leadership team's recommendation to the board for this health and safety plan, and then it will be reviewed with the board for their approval at some point, hopefully on July 21st. But a lot can change from now until July 21st. And so I'm going to put that disclaimer that this plan may change. There's a lot of guidance that comes out. There's a lot of decisions and changing times that may happen. And so, what we put out today may slightly change later on, as it changed in less than a week from the time we finished the plan till we actually put it out there for review. So the plan is broken into three pieces. The first piece talks about sanitization, then it's social distancing, and it's monitoring. Now, we're approaching this plan with the understanding that we are returning back to the buildings full-time for in-person instruction. What that means for the future, closures, mandatory extended closures or temporary, short-term closures, we'll deal with that when we get to that point, and we're building plans in place for that. But what this talks about right now is on August 24th, when all 1,400 of our students return back to the schools, what are we planning on doing? And that's what I want to hit today. One is sanitization. We're putting additional measures in place. We have purchased some sanitization equipment, electrostatic sprayers that will allow us to spray more efficiently and more effectively and disinfect areas. We'll have hand sanitizer, and we'll have hygiene guidelines for kids and staff to adhere to. We'll promote and do some trainings on how to properly sanitize and wash your hands. We're also looking at how do we sanitize our classrooms, so they'll be done every evening, scrub thoroughly. High traffic areas, high touch areas will be cleaned throughout the day, as well as in the evening. Our buses will be cleaned after runs in the morning and also in the evening. Our district vans and vehicles will be sanitized after each use as well. Shared items will be sanitized between use. If we don't have to share it, we won't share it. There will be sanitizing sprays and cleaners available if students want to be able to clean their areas both before class and after class. That will be available to them. Social distancing wise, we are putting in procedures to try to social distance as best we can. The guidelines say 6 feet, and in many cases we can try to social distance 6 feet. We've broken down some classrooms. We've taken a look at removing some desks and some furniture to spread students out. And I'll be honest, there are places where we can definitely social distance 6 feet, and there are classrooms and areas where we cannot. But we will do our best to try to keep distance amongst students to try to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Hallways, we'll break down hallways where we'll encourage students to stay to the right of the hallways so that there's not intermingling. We'll keep traffic flowing so that there's not a lot of congregating in the hallways, and get students to the places that they need to be instead of just hanging out. Group activities, we'll try to limit the usage of that. As far as cafeteria seating, we're going to look at spacing our tables out. We can do so at the elementary cafeterias. We'll space them out. At the high school, we'll utilize both the gymnasium and the cafeteria and some outdoor seating. We're going to put some procedures in place as far as getting your food, where it's already on the trays for you and provided to you. We've put some additional protections in place for our staff, as well as some plexiglass shields. As well as at the tables, we'll encourage students to sit not across from each other, but diagonally from each other. So instead of saying only one side of the table is utilized and they'll be spaced out 6 feet apart, we're going to take a practical approach and we'll say, listen, we don't have enough tables, we don't have enough space, and we're not looking to purchase 100 more tables, but let's also understand that there's a social aspect to school. So instead of students sitting directly across from each other, they'll sit diagonally from each other to help that process and mitigate that spread. Busing, CDC guidelines right now say that you should have one student per seat, spacing them out every other seat. Again, that's not, in our mind or in our plan, a practical approach to how we're going to do busing. And so what we're going to do is we're going to encourage parents, if you are able to transport your child, please do so. We would ask you to take your children or pick them up from school to try to remove those students from the busing to lessen the number of students on the bus. We'll also try to group student seating by families as opposed to assigned seats as we've normally done. We'll also put in place that students, as they board the buses, will go to the back of the bus, and that way students are not walking past each other when they are getting on the bus. So there's different procedural and action steps that we will take on the busing, as well as promoting masks wearing. As far as specials, our student specials tend to rotate one every day, different special. We're looking at a different rotation. We're not exactly sure what that looks like, but we're trying to test a couple different models out. It may mean that your child may have the same special for the same week and then change the following cycle to the next special and then follow that through a cycle. It may mean that you may have the same special for 30 days. We're still working on some of those details and get that information out as well. When it comes to monitoring student health, this is the big hot button question. What about masks? So we originally built our plan where we highly recommended and encouraged that masks be worn, but that we would put that up to parents and staff to decide on their own. That decision obviously has been taken away from us. That is now a state mandate, both from Dr. Levine and from the Secretary of Ed has said that the mandate does apply to all schools. So our current plan, as you will read, says that masks or face shields are highly recommended and encouraged unless mandated by the Department of Health. So between now and August 24th, if that should change, our plan would be to recommend and encourage, not require. But at this point, as it stands under current state guidelines, we do mandate the use of masks, both in the classroom and on the buses. As far as temperature checks each day, we are not going to be checking temperatures as students walk in. We would encourage parents to do that. So please, if your child's sick, keep them home. If your child has a temperature above 100.4, keep him home or her home. If your child has a cough or they're not feeling good or they have COVID-like symptoms, please monitor them and keep them home. It will be likewise for staff as well. We will be providing all kinds of trainings and professional development to our staff as well as students when they come into the buildings so that they can also know what symptoms to look for, especially at the secondary level. But our monitoring protocol calls for parents to be our best partners. Partner with us on this end. If your child's not feeling good, or if they're sick, or if they look sick, keep them home, please. And as far as what happens if a positive outbreak comes in, we will notify parents. Obviously, we have to follow some HIPAA laws, and we will not disclose the actual students' names or the staff information, but you would be notified should there be an outbreak, or should there be a positive case within the buildings. You would be notified of that as well. So that's a quick run through. I know it's a lot of information in a short amount of time period, but please know, again, I have a 7-year-old that I'm going to be sending off on August 26th up to the Blue Mountain School Districts. I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old that are going to be starting a brand new preschool and daycare August 31st, and I'm worried for them. I'm scared for them. I don't know what the unknown is, but I'm entrusting that the people that I'm putting my kids in the hands of each day know what they're doing, they have the best interest at heart, and please know, I care just as much for your kids as I do mine. I take my job very seriously, that I have to provide them an education and provide them in a safe environment. And I think our committee has worked very hard. Our leadership team works very hard. Our teachers work very hard, and our support staff at trying to take care of your kids and care for them. And we're trying to give them that best situation, because I know we all just want to go back to normal. I know we want to have kids run off the school bus screaming, "I love school, it was great, we did this, we did that, I met so-and-so, I have new friends." And I think if we can work together here, I think we can create that environment where our kids can have as best of a learning environment as possible. So this is the plan. This is what we're recommending and proposing on July 21st. It's not perfect. We acknowledge that. I know there's a lot of passion. I know a lot of people are going to say we didn't go far enough. I know there's a lot of people that'll say we went way too far. Please know we built this plan as a balance, but it may change. And so as it changes, and as we have to make changes, we will keep everybody up to date. But as of now, this is the plan that we will be recommending to the Board of Directors on July 21st. We will be converting that board meeting over to a Zoom. And so if you're interested in hearing that or participating via Zoom, we'll get that information out to everybody so that you're able to participate and provide some feedback on that. So again, as always, my door is always open. So if you have questions, concerns, please reach out to me. But know that there are certain things that I don't have control over. And masks are one of them. That is certainly something that the government or the state has said that that's a mandate. And so as a part of the state government, we are required to put that in place. So the other stuff, we've tried to be flexible, adhering to those guidelines and trying to do what we can to create the best environment, the most balanced environment. So, the best thing I can ask for is please partner with us, work with us, and let's try to make the best school year for our children. Thank you.